Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and today in Pro OverAnalyzed, we're going to take a look at Seoul Dynasty, arguably the best team in the league, against London Spitfire. Now, this is a very interesting series. It's a very shocking series. It's an insanely dominating performance by one of the teams. I've no doubt Josh is going to spoil it for you in the video ahead, so do go and check out the series. It's phenomenal because you know when you get like a team which is expected to perform really well, and they do, but the other team performs just on another planet. That's basically what happens here in this game. However, we're going to take a look at Temple of Anubis, and Josh is going to explain something to you guys. He's going to show you the rushdown tactic that London Spitfire were using. So, without further ado, over to you, Josh, my good sir.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Temple of Anubis. Today we're going to be looking at London Spitfire versus Seoul Dynasty, a series that was pegged to be one of the closest in the Overwatch League, but unfortunately it didn't quite seem to work out that way. If you haven't seen the series live, go watch it. Go watch it without me rambling over it. I'll wait, don't worry. Okay, good, you gone? You seen it? Okay, right. Okay, now that we're all up to speed, that didn't quite go how you would expect, did it now? London Spitfire actually looking incredibly strong throughout the series and a lot stronger than people were expecting. Seoul Dynasty pegged to be one of the strongest teams in the league, and they got thoroughly trounced. Now, how did this happen? How did this end up sort of coming about? Well, okay then. London Spitfire actually changed how they played in, well, a number of ways, and we're going to focus on that. This Temple of Anubis, I find, demonstrates it very nicely, sort of the differences in playstyles of Miro, miss a simple jump, and then finally getting the mail elevator with that glorious yellow snow. Don't eat the yellow snow, kids. But yeah, just like standard Temple of Anubis defenses, but we're going to see how London Spitfire changed their playstyle, adapted their playstyle to really throw Seoul Dynasty for a loop. Now, a lot of people are saying, you know, why didn't Seoul Dynasty play Ryu Jae-hong, sort of their star player, their star support player? Instead, they're playing Guido. They even tweeted, I believe, to London Spitfire, suggesting that they might play Ryu Jae-hong in this series, but instead they opted for Guido instead. Apparently, Seoul Dynasty say that he has better data in scrims. I trust Seoul Dynasty on that, and honestly, London Spitfire's victory here, I think, comes down to something else entirely. So then, as the gates open, let's just pause it and just take a quick peek at the team comps. Nothing too sort of surprising. You have this high ground defense. This is very strong anti-dive. You can set up on those two high ground platforms towards the back of Temple of Anubis, and you're just fine. Meanwhile, London Spitfire playing a normal dive, Prophet and Bird Ring, playing that Genji Tracer combo, looking to get onto backlines, you would suspect, and looking to get onto stuff like, you know, Zenyatta's, Widowmakers, and really make their lives miserable. What's actually going to happen is something quite different. So then, as they roll out, you see Seoul set up here. You have Guido also on the opposite platform. It's very, very difficult to reach these targets in the back. Junkrat, for example, can just bounce between these two platforms. Widowmaker can do the same. And so you can put a lot of pressure on all the approaches, depending on where the team decides to go. You can see that the Tracer and Genji trying to set up on the right-hand side, and meanwhile the rest of the team is going to be pushing through the left. So then let's see how this first push goes. Wu Yao pokes his nose out with a bit of defense matrix. Hagapen's going to have a go at it, and yeah, it doesn't quite go to plan. You see the dive going in onto Guido, tries to get some damage done on him. Unfortunately, doesn't manage to do so. Fleda also managing to find Prophet with his corpse, and does take him out using the Total Mayhem, unfortunately. So Fleda, well, scoops up a bonus kill, does get picked up, of course, straight away with the res. Toby does go down, but it's really not too much avail. Unfortunately, Birdring does get the kill, but Closer and Hagapen still behind on those ultimate charge. Toby can get back nice and quickly as well. Gesture even donating Bunny a friendly little bap in the noggin and giving him a whole pile of that infrasight available to him. So then, London Spitfire know the lay of the land, they know exactly where the enemy team is positioned, they know what to suspect going forward, but crucially they have managed to sort of set themselves up in a pretty good dive position. Gesture goes in, gets bounced off, crucially survives, does drop down to the point. Prophet also does unfortunately find the trap on the high ground, disarms it, and then scatters himself all over the Sahara Desert by the looks of things as Junkrat blows him to smithereens. That said, a lot of London Spitfire are alive and they are on the point. This prompts Miro to drop down to the low ground. This is a huge factor. Miro can now no longer get back to that high ground position. He is now stuck down on this low ground. So sure, Seoul Dynasty are winning this fight, but there was a minor victory there for the London Spitfire as they have managed to push Seoul off that high ground perch. Now you might be thinking, what's the significance of this? What does this actually mean? Well, it means now that the dive, and I believe that a map is going to pop up. There we go. So beautiful. This is just what I wanted. So when you're trying to dive sort of these high ground positions up here, the Winston has to sort of awkwardly find a second sort of pathway. He can't just jump straight from here to here, for example, because if he does, he's just going to take a ton of damage just during that flight. You might not even be able to make it there, and he's probably just going to get bounced off by the Junkrat. So it's not really a viable way of going about things. Instead, he has to either go through like here and then jump from here, or he has to go sort of more typically go through all this pathway and then come from over this side to get to where the enemy team is. You could even maybe sneak through this route, but this is normally more for Genjis to come around and attack from here. Either way, the team's very clumped up, and it's very, very difficult to do a lot here. Now, however, the team is positioned here, so if the Winston wants to get onto this main area, he just has to simple jump. There's even little pillars that he can use to get some line of sight. There's lots and lots of different options. It's enough ground as well for a D.Va to cover with a defense matrix, so the Winston is a lot safer. So then, as the first push begins, you see Winston jump forward, and unfortunately it looks like he just bumped his head on the archway, and oh dear, he died pretty much instantaneously. This is still a very high damage comp. This is anti-dive for a reason. That Winston gets blown up. And there we go. Bunny even playing it safe, checking to see if there's any sneaky Genjis or Tracer around the back of him. Sees that there isn't, so he's nice and safe. Okay, London Spitfire. Round number 2, let's try this one again. Engage goes in, Winston goes in, Fleta instantly backs off to go and protect and just sort of rain damage from above with the Widowmaker, and Gesture goes and follows him. But something crucial is happening right now. Now, normally with a dive comp, you would suspect that people would be following Gesture. Like, Prophet would be appearing and just helping out, kill Fleta or kill Bunny, and so would Birdering. Birdering would probably be going on Guido or helping out with the dive as a whole. Instead, something else entirely is happening right now. Miro is taking an absolute boatload of damage. So Gesture jumps into the backline, Toby even follows him, so Toby and Fleta both back off, and Miro is just left here on his own with the Zenyatta healing him. Now the thing with Orisa is Sure Fortify is a good ability and will keep her alive for a little while, but against stuff like a Zenyatta, a Genji, a Tracer, and a D.Va, that's not enough. Closer commits his res, he commits his ults, and so we'll just pick people back up. This is played on the previous patch as well, where Mercy res is still instantaneous, you still get 2 of them, and such. Prophet does go down, just gets picked up straight away, and so that's no problem. Prophet goes down again, gets picked up again, because this is the Mercy meta, but meanwhile enough damage has been done, that enough has been cleared, that it's suddenly very, very difficult. Toby doesn't have an ultimate either, doesn't have anything to save people, and now London can just start cleaning up on the point and manage to take it without issue. And this is the big change that London Spitfire have in their strategy. They actually just start focusing tanks rather than focusing on the supports. This is a playstyle that I term rushdown, and basically the objective of rushdown, the difference between rushdown and dive, is in dive comps, you are looking to attack the most vulnerable part of the enemy team. That's stuff like Zenyatas and so on. Meanwhile, with rushdown, you're looking to attack tanks. Now, there's a lovely replay as Seoul Dynasty basically back up into a Zenyatta, but we really want to focus on the bottom right corner, as I'm going to even pause it here just to make my point while all this happens. So London Spitfire are going to try and do a snowball at the moment. This is very standard Temple of Anubis. They've taken first point, they have ultimates in their back pocket. They want to go and use those ultimates as aggressively as possible. Meanwhile, Seoul Dynasty are going to be scrambling to set up some kind of defense. Straight away, Prophet's focus goes onto Miro. He draws a Dragon Blade, tries to get something done. Toby uses Valkyrie to counter the Dragon Blade and even reses Miro as a result. Prophet chases around Fleta. Fleta just sort of sends him for a loop, but it's no big issue. Birdring and Prophet both commit their ultimates, but it's no big deal because they don't really want to be staying on these heroes for this point, so they can now swap off safely. They didn't win on that push, it's no big deal, they got the Valkyrie, that's high value for them anyway, so it's sort of still working to London Spitfire's game plan. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted to win on that push, but hey, it's not the end of the world, they still have good advantages. Fleta with a cheeky grenade kill on to Hagapen does get rezzed straight away. So otherwise, we will see the team just start moving forward. And now, something very interesting is going to happen. So they're going to take this low ground route. And remember when I was talking about rushdown, like tank killers? This is a team of tank killers. But this side route, when I was watching this, I was like, oh my god, they're going to all die. They're going to all get killed because Fleta has Riptire. And Riptire is so good when the enemy team is sort of trying to get through these narrow choke points and trying to just force through stuff like this, because you can get a kill on a tank or get a kill on anything standing in these doorways without too much issue. And also the Junkrat is very strong here, but Fleder seems to spend a long time just trying to set up for this sort of counter-attack. He's just backing away now, trying to get into a position where he feels safe to use the Riptire, and by the time he actually manages to start using it, the team's already on the point. London Spitfire's already rolled out. He uses the Riptire, brings it out, sends it after Birdring of all people, who can hear it coming. He knows where it is, sees it come around the corner, just press shift. He's a spooky ghost, he doesn't die to explosives, and he's just fine. So now they got problems, and now they got big problems, because that was sort of the main thing that was going to sort of stop this push, rebuff this push in a really big way. London Spitfire start committing ultimates to this. They know that they have an opportunity here, so they're going to start doing so. And in my mind, a crucial thing also is happening with Guido, where he is not going to commit this Transcendence until way too late. Way too late. London Spitfire are going to be using a lot of ultimates here. Haugapen is now even committed Transcendence. Like, London Spitfire are going for kills here, they're going aggressive, and Guido finally commits his ultimate after two people are already dead, a little bit too late, just a snifter too late, and now that Transcendence, it instead of like being used to kill people, instead of being used to convert into some kills, it's just being used to stall on the point and slow things down. This isn't a team you really want to be stalling against, however, because they just kill things on the point no matter what it is so very quickly. There's now only one thing that can stop London Spitfire winning, and that is Toby's Valkyrie. Unfortunately, Closer is on the team for London Spitfire, and Closer has some of the best ultimate tracking in the business. He knows what the enemy team is running, so Reaper just goes, sets up, waits for Toby to come around the corner. Death blossoms to do a ton of damage to him. He still goes past with that meteoric speed. Thank goodness that patch is now on live. Unfortunately, the pros still have to deal with it, but not for too long, hopefully. But yeah, no problem just cleaning that one up, finishes off the Mercy, and there's no chance now for Seoul to come back into that one. So they take the first half of Temple of Anubis in pretty resounding fashion. Like, it looked pretty good. First couple of pushes were rebuffed, but still worked out for them, still worked out to their plan, and now they're in a good place. Okay then, so let's see what the defense of London Spitfire looks like. It's not too different from what we saw out of Seoul. That said, London Spitfire will be playing from that sort of, what I call the middle ground, that sort of middle plateau, that middle platform with the Orisa. They're not going to be using the Mail Elevator or anything like that. They're just going to be playing what you would see on ladder, what you would normally expect out of ladder. Seoul Dynasty, meanwhile, opt for a straight dive comp. Now, the big difference between Seoul Dynasty, well, actually, something really cool happens here, and I really want to highlight this. So, you saw Miro jump up there, and instantaneously, something actually kind of important happens. I was really confused by this, and I figured out why they've done this. Guido has changed to Anna. There is a very specific reason why this has happened, and it is one of the coolest things I have seen in Overwatch. I wish it worked, because it would blow people's minds, but I'm so glad I figured out why they actually went around with the Anna instead of the Zenyatta here. Normally you would expect Zen, it helps blow up tanks, kills targets pretty good. Anna's a little bit sort of weak at the moment. She has one of the lower win rates on ladder, but there's a very good reason why they went for the Anna. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work out just now as Bunny goes down. Now they're going to start their engage, and already damage is just raining in. You see Miro jump in, but unfortunately the defense matrix has already been used up. Tank explodes immediately. Again, focus very hard on Miro, and now Birdring is just free. He knows that there's no Winston bearing down on him. He can just land a couple of shots and clean up without issue. So then, you're going to see the same tactic being used on defense that they used on offense. The focus is going to absolutely be on exploding these tanks every single time they engage. Now then, I highlighted this Anna, and I hope this is where you get to see it. There, right there. I'll even play a replay for you, because it's kind of subtle and it's kind of difficult to see, but Guido just launched a grenade into the air, and now, as we play it forward, you will see that grenade land almost hitting London Spitfire. There it is, right in front of the barrier. If that grenade landed, it would have done a lot of damage. Like, it would hit several people, it would have put anti-heal on all of them, and it would have made them very vulnerable to the dive. I don't think it would have hit Wu Yao because he's on the low ground, but it definitely would have hit some high priority targets. It is a very, very cool little strategy that unfortunately doesn't quite end up working out for them. The barriers are just a little bit too far back. Jesh is just a little bit too defensive in his positioning, and as such, that doesn't work. Meanwhile, you see the dive continuing to chase down targets. You do see Prophet managing to get the Riptire and Fleder, and then Prophet crucially camps Fleder's corpse. Toby has activated his Valkyrie, but unfortunately, because the Genji's corpse was being camped by the Junkrat, and Junkrat is still pre-patched, he still has those huge concussive mines, it's actually very easy for Prophet Profit to kill the Mercy trying to res the target. So Profit just gets the finishing blow on him, Toby goes down, and at that moment Seoul realised, okay, we probably can't win this. If London Spitfire commit ultimates, we will just straight away lose, so let's not waste our time, let's get ready with the next push. So they're going to adopt the same position, do the same thing. Actually, no, Guido's going to swap, he's opted away from the Ana. They realise that the barrier is too far back, this doesn't work. Maybe this is something that London Spitfire have seen in scrims, and so they know where to place the barrier and such. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool little thing with the Ana. Like, I think that's a really cute little adaptation. Anyway, meanwhile, Seoul Dynasty still struggling. Bunny gets assassinated, unfortunately, and they can't really res him. Bunny swaps off to the Widowmaker. When I did this on my own channel, when I sort of went through the entire series on my channel, a lot of people are asking, why would Bunny swap to the Widow here? Part of why that is because if you are playing this low ground Orisa, it does mean that the Widowmaker is vulnerable to enemy Widowmakers. You can engage them in a sniper duel. It isn't safe from the archway, so in theory, Bunny could get a snipe on Birdring, and as such, you can see Birdring playing super defensively. He's just going to look for whatever targets across his path, while the rest of the team just focus on burning down those tanks. And you can see, hey, there's a Genji. It's kind of what you would expect. Profit's even going to chase him off, and then her. And when I was watching this, it really sort of surprised me of like, hey, that's a baby diva. And again, it just highlights the point that during that push, even though Profit was chasing off the Genji, the focus was still on the tanks. Zumba demeched was the first casualty in the fight. That's a really big deal, right? Because that's normally not what you would expect. You normally expect some sort of counter dive or some sort of counter aggression, but instead they're just blowing up these tanks again and 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 putting so much pressure on them. It's like Seoul Dynasty's DPS must be thinking, hey, this actually feels really easy. Guido's not getting focused or killed over and over and over again. No, it's Miro and Zumba constantly being punished, constantly being just drilled down by everything. Wu Yao, Gesture, everyone's just focusing on them. Traps are being set up for them, bombs being used for them by Profit and by Wu Yao in this instance as he drops the mech. Meanwhile, Profit does go on a sneaky flank here, and again, we're going to see lessons learned here by Toby as he wants to res that. Hey, hi, I'm Mercy. Oh, I've activated Valkyrie, but Profit just camps the corpse. He just waits on it. And so Toby knows that he can't res this Widowmaker, so he has to just go straight to the point. Fleda now going to try and make a big play, does have the Dragon Blade out, but crucially, Closer has that Valkyrie on, so it means that any kills he gets, as long as it's not the Mercy, well, they're going to get picked right back up. So he can't really find anything of value there, and it doesn't make too big of difference. Now then, crucially, a lot of tanks still alive on the point for London Spitfire. All the healing is up and running. The DPS from Seoul Dynasty starting to wind down. They've taken a couple of casualties, and London Spitfire are just playing very defensively at the moment, chasing off targets, staying alive more crucially than anything, because Hagapen is charging, and he's charging up nice and fast. And now he has a Transcendence. Okay, now they have numbers advantage on the point. They have massive amounts of healing on the point. They can start using this Transcendence to convert into kills, and as such start winning out on the point. They just start picking off targets. Birdring still managing to land shots even at this close range, getting a huge amount done there on the Widowmaker, and now it's just tanks versus tank busters, and lo and behold, the tank busters end up winning. London Spitfire take this map 2-0. Now, if you watch the rest of this series, if you go and watch it without me and just focus on what the target focus is for London Spitfire, you will see time and again they just go for tanks and tanks and tanks and tanks until they hit that final map, and then they change back to their more aggressive style, playing more just sort of standard dive, going up against the backline more. It's a really, really interesting series. It's a really, really cool series. And it's a really nice little adaptation in a tactical sense of, hey, if we adjust our target priority, we can really do a lot to this team. And I imagine a lot of Seoul Dynasty fans feeling like this fan here in the crowd. This guy become an international meme, an international sensation. I love it. Right, guys, thank you for watching to the end. It's been my absolute treat to bring this map to you. I am Josh, one amongst many Pemberton. If you want to see the entire series get broken down by me, more of a sort of a first impressions on it, then that will be on my own channel relatively soon. Otherwise, guys, let me know what you thought of this series. It was an exciting one for me, and certainly an exciting one as a Spitfire fan, but also an exciting match as someone who loves sort of deep diving into Overwatch. And as I said in the previous video, when there's a stomp, there's usually something behind it and usually a good reason for it, and I love trying to figure those out. Otherwise, I will see you next time, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon. Toodles.